G'day, money mourners. Jesus, Trav, I was on the bloody shitter this morning. Not too many announcements coming through. Drove in and bang, a merger. M&A activity in our favourite district, Leonora.
It's not just any merger, Matty. This is this place has a very special place in our heart, doesn't it, Leonora?
Oh, it was if you look at the bloody artificial share price graph of Money of Mine, it's when we started bloody taking off. Leonora.
It might have been, yeah. Mate, I'm keen to see how it all plans out. And we've got some familiar companies getting involved here, causing a little bit of mischief. No surprises. Silver Lake, mate, they really just want their claim on Leonora, and they've lobbed a bid. Well, it's an agreed merger, a scheme of arrangement with Red5. Of course, they had a stake at an 11.9% interest, and now there's an agreed merger. What does it mean for Genesis? We're going to find out. We're going to talk about it. Who's the winners? Who's the losers? Why are there 8 people on the bloody board? Why wasn't Luke Tonkin on the call?
Oh, mate, so much to go through. Talk about the stake. They had a little bit of eye fillet before, and now they got a bloody going for the ribeye. Oh, it's bloody great. Mate, because you look back here. Now, here's the thing. Look back in the early days. Remember, Trav, when Money of Mine was when Silver Lake couldn't get their announcements published by the ASX for the Genesis St. Barbara Silver Lake bloody saga.
I do remember that.
Our YouTube video went up on the Silver Lake website.
That's right. ASX didn't let them lodge an announcement, so they chucked it on their website. And then they thought also worthy of going on their website was our recap of the
Exactly. Now, so look, you'd say alternative marketing by Silver Lake.
Yeah.
And look, that was actually posed as a question today on the investor call with Red5, which Silver Lake just weren't at. They might have been listening. Now, the not so often question asker, Mr. Timothy McCormack from Canaccord, posed the question about this.
It's a bit more of a qualitative thing. I think it's a reasonable observation that Silver Lake's reputation in terms of market engagement isn't huge. Is there an impetus from your side to force, I guess the incumbent Silver Lake management that's coming in to make more of an effort on engaging with the market, particularly when they're digesting you guys in a merger?
So, Trav, even after this alternative strategy last year, Silver Lake's marketing is in question.
Yeah. I mean, they're not really known for engaging with investors, Silver Lake, Matty. They're known to be a little bit elusive in that respect. They don't do what others do. They kind of try and get on with it and hope that the market follows, but they've got a bit of a reputation for being a little bit feisty with investors, maybe.
Well, I can solve both these problems even if the ASX aren't putting the announcements up, and in parallel, just improve the overall marketing and communicate with the shareholders. Mm-hmm. If they were on InvestorHub, Trav, they could have done their own webcast today through InvestorHub. They could chuck whatever announcement on there they want, irregardless of what the ASX is letting them do. Mate,
yeah,
Silver Lake.
Yeah.
Since you're going into Red5 and you're going to be running it, and we're going to get into that later, why not answer Timmy McCormack's call and utilise InvestorHub to better the marketing of this merge co? It's a bloody no-brainer to me, Trav. We're handing it on a platter to Red5.
Yes. You make a good point.
No-brainer.
There's no better company that could benefit from a platform like InvestorHub than Silver Lake. The challenge might just be getting them to want to do it, because I've never really gotten the vibe that they want to care about.
InvestorHub don't do the content for you. Like, you do have to contribute to it.
Yeah.
That might be a bit of hey, look, I'm not saying InvestorHub aren't going to branch out to that in the future.
Yeah.
But look, how much more do you want them to do at the moment? Far out. I'm putting the call out because why not? Like, we go through, if you want to do your DD on like companies like InvestorHub, we've done it for you, because if they're on the show, that means they're not shit, pretty much.
It's a great point. I mean, Silver Lake are going to have to market to their investors, because ultimately their shareholders are going to have to vote on this scheme. A great way to build those relationships with your full list of your shareholder registry, mate, is maybe get an InvestorHub.
Exactly. Luke Tonkin, mate, listen to what we're saying. Engage with the shareholders better. You'll get Timmy McCormack off your back, mate. Win, win, win all round. Because they also mentioned on the analyst call, Trav, up in the exploration at Deflector and Mount Munga to extend these asset lives because they're getting to the back end. They're waiting on future reserve growth, mate. And as we said, handing companies to these mining companies on a platter. Chuck K-Drill in there. Done.
Yeah. Extend the mine life. Yeah.
Just they're ready, raring to go. Diamond RC, get that bloody mine life because the underground might be pinching out.
Yeah.
But imagine if they found another one from the surface.
So I think that's the important point because here I was thinking you were going to pitch K-Drill to be doing underground drilling. Of course, Ryan can do that. He can do that.
Don't put all your eggs in one basket, but because you know what the big thing for organic growth of a company like Silver Lake Red5 merging, find some easy shit. Go pepper like that Mount Munga tenement, mate. There's fucking gold everywhere.
It is near Calgary. Yeah.
Yeah.
There probably is gold everywhere.
Exactly. Get K-Drill to go pepper the living shit out of it and find some more deposits. Like
K-Drill drilling in Calgary. Makes sense. Just get K-Drill.
Mate, you got InvestorHub to market the results for you. You got K-Drill poking holes everywhere, giving you that chance to increase the mine life. Bloody analysts are going to love it. Bloody we're going to love it. And simple as that. Another no-brainer.
While K-Drill are at it, they should punch a few. Like I'm imagining a punch-out card. There's like 8 spots on this punch-out card, and of course those 8 spots are the 8 board members. Maybe K-Drill can just punch 4 of them out. Just so there's only 4 board members left.
There's another bloody. You can increase mine life and lower the corporate costs all in one. Bloody, we'll get to that as well. But mate, any mining companies that just need more mine life, get hold of K-Drill. They can deliver it for you if it's there. Simple as bloody that, mate.
Love it.
Oh, before we get in, geez, didn't bloody iron ore down 3.6% last night, didn't the everything's been hammered today.
Carnage, mate. Absolute carnage in commodities world. The Aussie mining stocks are looking red. It's a very, very red day. And speaking of red days,
it's a red day.
Matty.
The only one in the green is red. They're up a tiny bit. Right, Trav, Red5 and Silver Lake merger scheme of arrangement. Take us through it, big fella. What is going on? This is beautiful stuff.
Oh, Matty, it's the battle for Leonora 2.0. It's upon us. Red5, Silver Lake, they've agreed to a, in quotation marks, merger of equals via a recommended scheme of arrangement between the two gold companies.
Merger of equals, Trav. Doesn't that ring back bells? I've highlighted it here. Let's just scroll down to the Northern Star and Saracen. A compelling combination, strategic. Merger of equals. You reckon that's old Tonks in there saying, yeah, Ral, I can do a merger of equals as well.
I reckon it is, you chuck it in there when you don't want people to draw attention to the fact that you're actually being acquired at a discount. Chuck a merger of equals. No.
I'm looking forward to hearing about why that is.
Oh, mate. So Silver Lake shareholders, they're each going to get 3.434 Red5 shares for every Silver Lake share, and they're going to end up owning 48.3% of the pro forma company, MergeCo. Luke Tonkin, however, of course, being the managing director of Silver Lake, he's going to take the reins of MergeCo, which will remain Red5, as the managing director and CEO. Russell Clark, so chairman of Red5 currently, he'll be the chair of MergeCo. Silver Lake, they're obviously getting an asset being Koth that has a long mine life ahead of it, approximately 14 years, while Red5 are going to get access to Silver Lake's cash, which can make a meaningful difference to the company's resilience with consistent cutbacks ahead of them. And of course, then you've got Silver Lake's other assets, which we're going to go into a bit later on.
Then Red5 Managing Director Mark Williams and the CFO David Coyne will cease employment upon implementation.
Yeah.
So that's obviously an interesting one. So look, hats off, they're not doing a bloody AVL TMT and just keeping both bloody MDs. So there's one positive. But mate, the webcast call today, I don't know, it was no excitement. I reckon it was a bit of a shit show. Like bloody, zero excitement in it at all. Like, because
it was strange.
Yeah,
it was strange. Why was Mark Williams the one talking when he's leaving the company?
Yeah, Mark Williams, he's the outgoing MD. Luke Tonkin's the incoming one. Mark Williams is presenting the deal, and you've got the Red5 execs fumbling their way through the Silver Lake assets, and no one on the Silver Lake team was actually on there doing the deal. So as answer to your bloody marketing query, T-Mac, that if the merge car is going to make it any better than Silver Lake's currently, it's not off to a bloody great start. So it just could have been presented with both parties on there. You speak of logical mergers. That's a logical webcast to me if you're going to do this.
Mate, CC in Rory at investorhub.com.
Rory Stein will market you better.
No, I agree with you entirely, mate. That was really strange. Super odd to just, hear about the deal from someone who's leaving the company and then, the incoming MD of the pro forma not there. I think he's doing a separate one with investors, I heard, but but not a public one anyway.
But more so because a lot of the questions were around, right, there's obviously not any regional synergies, but what do you see from bringing in these Silver Lake assets into the Red5 portfolio, which is King of the Hill and Darlow, but pretty much just King of the Hill. So most of the question there, and you got Red5 people answering those questions, where you should have Silver Lake there answering those questions about what are the mine life extension prospects, where's the increased reserves going to come from?
Yes. You mentioned the word synergies there, Matty, and that's the first takeaway. We talk about synergies in M&A and in mining more often than not. Deals don't actually have operational synergies, just corporate synergies. I mean, real shareholder, long-lasting shareholder value can be created when you unlock regional synergies. Think of, sending the ore from one operation to the mill of a company that's nearby, merge it two together, and there are real synergies there. There's cost savings, right? It's safe to say this deal has none of that. But don't let that knock a good story, mate. There's still logical. It's still logical according to the investor materials.
Especially when you're bloody taking you got 8 directors on the board. But look, the synergy, as I see it, is simply coming from the fact that Silver Lake have shitloads of cash, so pretty much 430 odd mil if you include the Red5 investment.
Yeah.
And Red5 have 102 million outstanding debt. That's not outstanding as in great, like the outstanding debt. So
and obviously then also the out of the money value of the hedge book as well. You could consider,
which they did mention they would look at liquidating the lower priced bits. Is that lower priced bits which are in the money?
No, they're
is that out of the money?
The entire hedge book is out of the money.
Out of the money. That's out of the money means it's lower.
Yeah.
Because the Silver Lake cash, that'll reprieve the balance sheet of Red5. They mentioned they can bring forward cutbacks and possible mill expansion at King of the Hill. So because they don't have to focus on that debt repayment as much, they can also. And this is the interesting one because Silver Lake own 12% of Red, but what will happen there is it's not included in the pro forma structure. So they can sell, they can either cancel, which is effectively a buyback, or sell the Silver Lake 12% holding before it's actually merged, and effectively gives you at this price 140 mil capital raise in the door.
Yeah, the typical thing to do in this situation is in all your investor materials, it just you show the pro forma and there's an asterisk there saying that shares will be cancelled upon implementation of the scheme. This one, it wasn't like that at all. Everything was asterisk saying, potential monetization of Silver Lake's stake in Red, which basically is guiding to the fact that they want to do this. It would also explain why Red5 did an East Coast Roadshow last week as well, Matty, if you're trying to get people excited about the stock, because Silver Lake...
Start the book build.
Yes, Silver Lake block trade of its position to fundies. Yeah, book build, exactly. So, but it's a capital raise. You're right, it's a capital raise. There's more cash.
Yeah, exactly. And so I guess when they start talking about when you synergies and what they see in the assets, when they're talking about the exploration potential and extensions at Mount Monger and Deflector, you're sort of clutching at straws a bit when you're talking about good exploration potential and everything. Because Silver Lake have got shitload of cash. They could realise the exploration potential now and just continue making positive cash without doing a merger at a discount. And look, you can see by these notes they really need exploration and ore body extension success at Deflector and Rothsay, Silver Lake do, because you look at the rate of decline in the reserves from last year's Canaccord note, it's pretty rapid for those two operations. They've only got about 2 years left each around abouts, and look, that central zone is actually scheduled to bloody run out this financial year.
That's a deflector, yeah.
Yeah, so it's
interesting. That was
I know, and like, look, gold mines, look, notoriously, unless you're bloody really drilling deep, like they can have that rolling bloody mine life, and a lot of them do operate that way. But with that central zone ending, I think there's a lot of pressure to replace that at deflector. Like Mount Munga's been on bloody low mine life for bloody years, but it just keeps adding. They keep finding shit and extending. So, but because we haven't had an update on the exploration at Sugar Zone, besides saying they drilled 27,000 metres in the quarter, but no assays received yet to see. I think they were scheduled, 92,000 metres or something there?
I thought it was 45.
No, it was like when they put it on care and maintenance, I think they said for the whole program it's going to be like 92,000 metres.
Big program.
90,000, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, no assays received yet. Don't know if they're drilling gold or drilling waste. But God, you'd think now following this merger and the difficulty we've seen with Australian companies trying to bloody mine in North America, you'd think they'd drill it out, hopefully increase the resource and bloody flog it off. Like,
you think they'd sell it?
Oh, well, now that they're merging, they've got like, plus 400,000 ounce production going on in Australia. Would they bloody complicate it by trying to mine in North America again? I don't know.
Yeah.
But it doesn't, like, you're talking about the thing that's furthest away from a bloody synergy. It's Sugar Zone.
Gotcha. Interesting.
Anyway, we'll see.
Yeah. Well, Matty, the thing I always want to pry into when you see the words merger of equals, who's winning, right? Who's winning in this deal? So, Red is technically acquiring Silver Lake, hence you might be wondering what the premium they're paying to acquire Silver Lake is. And if you do a Control F in the docs, mate, and you type in the word premium, returns no results. And the reality is the merger ratio actually prices Silver Lake at a 10% discount. 10.8% discount to last close versus Red5. That's right. Silver Lake have agreed to be acquired at an effective discount to last. I ran the VWAPs for Silver Lake to see if on any of those metrics they're getting a premium, but you have to go all the way back to a 60-day VWAP to convince yourself on that. The equivalent interpretation is that Silver Lake are the ones paying a premium. So at face value, Red wins, right? But it's not that simple because Luke Tonkin, of course, will be left running MergeCo. And if you cast your mind back to last year, there's a bit of history between Genesis's Ral Finlayson and Luke Tonkin, isn't there, Matty?
Well, I think it's sort of well known and logical that Ral and Genesis would want King of the Hill under their banner to probably process the Tower Hill ore when it comes online in 3 years, which is
2 to
3 years every quarter. Because, just big, massive mill, low unit operating cost. Just throw everything in there. Probably turn the Gwalia mill off, send the high-grade Gwalia to lift the grade at King of the Hill. And like this scenario of having Mount Munga, Deflector and Sugar Zone under that banner now, I guess now makes it a bit less appealing, a bit more difficult for Ral to get, because he just would have wanted to take Red5 over and just get King of the Hill. I don't think he's probably as much interest in Mount Munga and Deflector and Sugar Zone. Yep. And because Travis Fay on YouTube, I actually come across this song released by Genesis. Like you can see at the bottom of this song, the artist is Genesis. So I'm not making it. I've kept it in the bloody bottom of the video there. And I think it must have just been released today on the back of this play. Another play by Luke Tonkin against sort of Ral's the way he wants to go with things. I'll play it for you, mate.
I can't wait, Matty. I'm pretty excited to listen to this brand new song.
I could say day and you'd say night. Tell me it's black when I know that it's white. Always the same, it's just a shame, and that's all. Why does it always seem to be me looking at you with you looking at me? It's always the same.
Yeah, mate. Tell you what, I reckon
Hot off
that's
the
going to hit the
press.
Spotify top 10. That one,
Mate, that's timely.
it's
A timely release. That one.
been that beat's been in my head all day.
Pertinent lyrics. But
See,
Matty, you're right.
that's on. Oh, love it.
The rumoured interest by Genesis in Red5 has been pretty well known to the market, plenty of media reports and all the likes, and hence, I think Red's share price probably had baked into it an M&A premium, anticipating corporate action at some stage.
And do you reckon the short interest in Genesis was baking in the fact that they might take over Red5?
It potentially was, yeah. I mean, there's probably
because
some of
they've
that
always been in the top 10 of bloody shorts recently.
since they've been on the index, yeah. I mean, with Genesis's share price likely baking in that M&A premium, if this deal proceeds with Silver Lake, the question is, would a tie-up with Genesis actually be likely at all now? And I think, look, these are big personalities, right? Ralph Finlayson, Luke Tonkin, there's history. Human emotions play a massive role in deal making. I mean, you saw in Ralph's Diggers presentation saying they've kissed and made up, but I'd still be pissed. Like I'm sure there's a little bit of friction there, right? And so I'd guess that getting a deal done in the near term between this merge go of Red5 and Genesis would be much harder than a Genesis tie-up with Red5 before, based on the personalities.
Well, here's my bloody theory, Trav. I like a good theory.
Tell me, Matty.
Well, I guess for Tonks to realise really good value for things like Deflector and Mount Munga. Now, I couldn't see Genesis doing a Red5 thing anytime soon, like within the next couple of years. Because why would you buy it now? You would get the operation, but the big play is to have that mill for when Tower Hill comes on. The King of the Hill, Tower Hill, to be bloody hill central, hills everywhere. But with the rail line movement and everything like that, there's a lot hinging on that Tower Hill coming online. So I wouldn't imagine they'd want it now until Tower Hill will be getting a bit closer to being in the game. So whether this might have been something they were going to maybe look at in 2 to 3 years' time.
2 to 3.
2 to 3. 2 to 3, of course.
Yeah.
So, but now, if that's the case and they do want it, they've got to figure a way, right, how do we get just that asset out? Same as what they did with Gwalia, just to get that asset out of St. Barbara. Or are they going to then have to buy the whole thing and, they're paying a premium and then they're realising the value for Mount Munga and Deflector because they're in the one thing.
I'm keen to speculate on what that could look like, Matty. And but before we get there, so I think when we saw this deal and we're looking at it all, why is Red5 the one acquiring Silver Lake instead of Silver Lake acquiring Red? And what they stated on the call, without actually quantifying, mind you, was that Red5 have more tax loss offsets available, hence it makes sense for Red to be the continuing company, and that might be true. But it was disappointing.
And
that
stamp duty as well, wasn't it? Something but they couldn't quote. You'd think you'd know the numbers.
The numbers weren't recited. It might be true, but it was disappointing that management couldn't quote them right. And I think there could be another factor here as well, and that's just deal protection. We've seen a lot of deal blocking lately, haven't we, Matty? And if you could think of a party that might try to block this deal, if there was a simple way to do it, it'd be
Gina Reinhardt. No.
Back to gold, Gina. Genesis. So
Genesis.
If Genesis were strong on the synergies with King of the Hill, they obviously there's a Leonora consolidation story there. They want King of the Hill, but not Mount Munga, not Deflector. And the tie-up complicates a Leonora consolidation, like you said. So to block the scheme, Genesis have to buy shares in the target because the scheme meeting is only for shareholders of the target, which technically is Silver Lake.
Yeah, so there's no vote on the Red5 side.
Correct.
It's all just on the Silver Lake.
But hang on, Genesis owning Silver Lake stock is not very appealing to them. If it was the other way around, however, Silver Lake acquiring Red, then Genesis would only need to buy a blocking stake in Red5 to block this deal, and they'd probably be happy owning Red. So by structuring the deal this way around, it provides enhanced deal protection for Silver Lake to prevent a potential deal blocker from coming up, I reckon, Matty.
Yeah, because it's mostly instos that hold Silver Lake shares. I'll show the top substantial shareholders there, like Van Eck and Vanguard. There's not really any big figures in there, so you would usually vote with the board unless they don't.
Yeah, there is a fair bit of shareholder turnover at the mid-live deal, so you wouldn't rule out the potential for activists to get involved as well, and then try and cause an outcome. But
is there a risk that they've, like, as you said by the calcs, they're selling at a 10% discount? Is there a risk that might be a bit of a negative for the vote?
I would imagine some shareholders would be like, what are you doing? What's the plan? And hopefully Luke jumps on calls with those investors and explains
on
it.
InvestorHub. Yeah.
So look, Matty, if you pry into the details of the scheme implementation deed, you can see that Red5 have made sure to allow for a fiduciary out for themselves. In fact, it's worth listening to Timmy McCormack asking the question on the webcast himself on this one. It's a rare snippet from Timmy. He doesn't ask questions very often, like you said, Matty.
Get involved more, T-Mac.
Just to jump onto a different line of thinking, is there anything in the documents about protection against interlopers or things like that? We know that Genesis and Silver Lake like bidding for the same things. Is there any clauses that we should have in mind about?
It's Russell here. Maybe you know something we don't know. Yes, there are. As the acquirer, we wouldn't normally have a fiduciary out, but that's something that the Red board insisted on and took some time to get. So there is an opportunity should someone decide to bid Red5, they can do so. However, there is exclusivity. There's no talk, no shop, no due diligence clause within the documents. We're focused on getting this deal done. We haven't done it to create noise in the market. We see the relative strength, or we see the huge strength of this combination.
There you go, Matty. Pretty interesting response there, wasn't it? Red have negotiated an out if they get a bid themselves. This is typically not the done thing for the acquirer to have a fiduciary out, but I want to cast your mind back to 2021, Matty.
Oh,
can
geez.
you go back in time with me, all right?
Oh, I was bloody boring holes and bending bolts back then, but you would have been more in tune with the market.
Oh, mate,
Anyway,
living it.
Rip it for me.
So do you remember when Gascoigne was acquiring Firefly?
Oh, is this the one that Westgold got involved in? Yeah.
100%. And so to the surprise of a lot of people, Westgold came in over the top and lobbed a bid for Gascoigne when there was this deal with Firefly at foot. It was Westgold's bid was conditional on the Firefly deal being killed. The interesting thing about that whole kerfuffle, at the time you could pretty clearly see that Gascoigne shareholders were better off with the Westgold deal, but Gascoigne did not have the ability to terminate that deal. They'd signed a scheme implementation deed with Firefly already, and as the acquirer, it wasn't at all customary for the acquirer to have a fiduciary out. It's more customary just for the target to have that one. So the scheme with Firefly went ahead and shareholders ultimately approved it. And why do I tell you this story, right? Because if there was a fiduciary out for Gascoigne, they'd likely have merged with Westgold instead way back then. And now you go to clause 13.8 in the scheme implementation deed uploaded today, and there it is, a fiduciary out for Red5. So, of course, this makes sense for Red5. They don't want to latch on to Silver Lake if Genesis are actually prepared to pay more. They look silly then. And maybe it's looking silly again that some of Red5 management are very conscious of, Matty, because take a look at the COO and CFO of Red5. Oh, they were both at Gascoigne back then. So Richard Hayes, COO of Red5, was MD of Gascoigne before Simon Lawson, and David Coyne, CFO of Red5, was finance director of Gascoigne, still on the board. Of course, it's now called Spartan. So
you can't put a price on experience, Trav?
Mate, they learned one thing from that saga at Gascoigne.
So you're saying that effectively Genesis we're anticipating they're not going to, but if they did, they could come in and lob a 40-cent cash deal or a scheme of their own to offer their script to take over Red5 over the top of this merger.
Yeah, there's a fiduciary out for Red5 from this if Genesis come to party, and whether that happens or not, we'll have to wait and see.
Raoul, not telling you how to run your business, but if you did chuck a bid in, we'd love it. That'd be great for the show.
We would love it. And I mean, there are some reasons, you can argue that they should do that as well, because you look at their valuation and they're they're pretty healthily valued. They're still
Yeah.
good chunk of management premium baked into their valuation today. Maybe they should use their script while it's valued that way to do M&A.
And what are they? 1.8 bill, I think.
Yep.
Pretty bloody unbelievable. Yeah, considering these companies are both 1 and 1.2 or something.
Yeah. And you know, heck, on the other hand, what's happened with Silver Lake? Well, they're now going to be Red5, but Luke is going to be running the much larger company with a Leonora footprint as a result of this, which is basically, you know, foregone Silver Lake equity at a discount, like you said, in order to have leverage at a potential future consolidation story there, I imagine. So it just depends on the timelines of when that might actually happen. But what does this all mean for the Genesis consolidation story now? Because this is interesting. Genesis, they obviously have this strategy to consolidate Leonora. At some stage, you'd imagine King of the Hill fits into that. But you know what's not in Leonora, Matty? Deflector, Mount Munga, Sugar Zone. So Red's definitely less attractive from a portfolio perspective there. And I guess the question is, does Genesis need to do that deal anytime soon? I actually don't know the answer to that question. I think all of Genesis's messaging to the market is that they don't need King of the Hill right now. Note their last quarterly where they stated explicitly, I've highlighted here, Genesis now has the assets and people in place to deliver the long life 300,000 ounce per annum production plan, and there's a 5-year plan on its way, on track to release a 5-year outlook in March 2024. And with the market eagerly awaiting that March 5-year outlook, I think the timing of this deal should not go unnoticed. It's probably a little bit opportunistic if you think about it. It's kind of like a bit of bait to Genesis to throw in a bid before they release to market this 5-year plan, because that might be a bit of a spanner in the works. And I suspect maybe Silver Lake even thinks that getting to 300,000 ounces per annum is tough without King of the Hill. I'm not sure, and they've done this deal before the strategy gets revealed. So the big question for Genesis here would be: is it worth lobbing a competing bid here? I mean, what do you think, Matty? Unlikely.
Yeah, and when you look at Deflector, like as you say, those assets don't fit in the portfolio really on a synergy basis. But it'd be interesting to see how much exploration after it's implemented, how much exploration actually goes into, you know, Mount Munga and Deflector, and how much, because like Mount Munga's got shitload of stockpiles there they can just process for bugger all. Like there's a lot of gold still there that mill can just keep spinning. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see if they stay in the portfolio. I know I talked about flogging off Sugar Zone, but imagine if a good deal come along and like a smaller cap come in. Like look at what bloody Black Cat's done with like Paulson's. They're like, no, we're gonna have a go at this. Imagine if another company come in and like, no, we'll take them off your hands, and they actually end up just being Red5 as it is now, but Luke Tonkin running it. So who knows? But
who knows?
Whether they'll take the risk and drill out and hope to keep extending the mine life or realise some value for it. So don't know.
There's another part of the equation that I think, you know, Ral and the Genesis team will be really thinking through, and that's the funding dynamics of King of the Hill. Maybe they're still too uncertain and risky for Genesis to want to take on now, right? Because if you go into those dynamics, you see one of the talked about rationales of this deal is the assistance that Silver Lake's balance sheet can provide. That's because Red still has a good whack of debt that it needs to repay. It also has an out of the money hedge book. These gold ounces are hedged at even lower prices next year, and it's a good whack of capex that consistently needs to be deployed at King of the Hill thanks to cutbacks required, which keeps free cash relatively tight, I'd imagine. So I've thrown up this slide here which shows the staged cutbacks of King of the Hills. You can see they're currently underway with stage 2 cutback. Plus there's in their pres materials, I've also flagged TS4 lift as capital works underway in this half too. So the thing that stands out to me when I look at this one slide where you can see the separate stages of cutbacks required here is that with each additional cutback, look what happens to that stripping ratio. It gets like pretty substantially larger, right? I mean, stage 1, you can see stripping ratio 3.7, stage 2, 5.4, stage 3, 5.7, stage 4, 5.9, stage 5, 10.8. So, you know, obviously with each cutback, higher stripping ratio, which means more waste, which means higher costs, etc. So I wonder if you combine that dynamic with the debt and hedge position, and that could be like, you know, a motivating force for Red in doing this deal with Silver Lake, is they just have a lot more prudence when it comes to executing that a lot more flexibility around it, and the likes could give them a lot more comfort.
And so, you look at it, with that increased stripping ratio, you do see the grade appears to stage 3 onwards lifts up to 1.2 from 1. So look, it mightn't sound much, but when you got a 5.5 million tonne mill, if you lift the bloody input grade by 0.2 grams, that is, I think I did the calcs before, it's about 40,000 ounces a year. So, and revenue, like say
but you got to move more.
Yeah, so it's costing you more, but that's an extra, I think it was on $1,000 operating margin. That's about, $8 million a quarter extra in the door. So it's I think getting to that grade is a pretty big bloody priority by the sounds for a mill that size.
And given the all those funding dynamics I talked about, maybe the sensible thing for Genesis to do is to let that happen, utilising Silver Lake's balance sheet, not their own.
Yeah, exactly.
In which case, your 2 to 3 year timeline might be the prudent thing for them to do as well.
Yeah, if they can't manage the cost of it, they wear the bloody consequence. So.
I did find it really, really interesting how all of that talk around monetising the stake, because you look at the pro forma cash, even without monetising the stake, just cancelling the shares, and you got a shitload of excess cash there. But all of this talk of monetising the stake, I kind of am left thinking that's probably the likely thing that's going to be done. And like, what's the plan with all of that cash? Like, how are you going to allocate that? There must be. I mean, they talk about accelerating things and the likes, but
because they can. I think they can expand the mill as well.
Yeah.
Which would be again part of that future consolidation, because there's no other ore going there at the moment besides King of the Hill and Darlow. So
yeah, but it's effectively capital raising. Like, you're adding additional dilution. It's the exact same implication as a capital raising versus those shares being cancelled. So, Matty, why is Silver Lake doing this deal, right?
Bloody good question, Trav.
This is like...
Have we provided any answers so far?
I don't think we have. I honestly think like the amount of times we've talked about Silver Lake's involvement in the Leonora region, I don't think we've ever once really talked about a good reason, like why getting into Leonora makes sense for Silver Lake. And Luke Tonkin not being on the call today doesn't exactly alleviate that open-ended question.
Because it's not like he's realising much. He's not realising much equity value. I think he's got, about 700,000 odd shares in Silver Lake. So that's about $1 million. And he had about 2.5 million performance rights, which I think 50% of them are escrowed until after the implementation. So it's not like he's getting a shitload of and remember, they're a $1 billion plus company. It's not like he's getting tens of millions of dollars in the door that are vesting. Like, it's not not incentivized on doing a deal or anything.
Yeah,
I reckon he's incentivized on bloody winning, being a thorn in Ral's side.
Yeah, it might be human emotions at play in this one. But like, all right, let's think it through. Like, what could they actually be getting at? I mean, Silver Lake, they had all of this cash, this enormous balance sheet. They had their pick really of doing a deal with anyone, because like we know how beaten up undeveloped gold ounces are at the moment. They're super cheap. So Silver Lake could have picked up an undeveloped project, and they've got the war chest of cash in order to actually like develop that without any more dilution and create plenty of value that way. There are other existing gold miners, I'm sure, who also might have interest in the balance sheet. They've chosen Red5. So they had the pick of the best of, any of the undeveloped things, and they've chosen Red5. So why, right? Like, what the hell, why? There was always that rumor circling around in the market that one of the potential reasons that Silver Lake got involved in the St. Barbara saga was because because Luke Tonkin had envisaged Ral potentially succeeding him. And there was this interest in Leonora, familiarity in Leonora, and
because I think Luke's got a lot of experience in Leonora. And
yes,
this was as you said, the retirement out. Maybe
that was one of the theories out there. And it's never been substantiated, but this is one of the rumors out there. And the sustained interest in Leonora has done nothing but probably add to that hypothesis. And now you're looking at it and you think, well, he's taking on another asset and he's remaining in charge. And is the plan still for for that to be a potential out. It's a bloody interesting strategy to get there, I tell you that, mate. But who knows?
Yeah, I think, as we said, they based on that reserve decline and just I know they can add to it and rolling 3 year, but we said last week they're going to have to most likely do something soon, and it was probably either this or maybe like buy Spartan or something like that, and they've chosen this. But this is I guess a running start. Spartan's still a lot of exploration, development, and extra additions to the mill and everything. So might have just wanted a running easy start.
Now, Matty, one thing really caught both of our eyes, and that was looking at the pro forma board.
Bloody shits me. 8. Why do you need 8 directors? Like, you're adding one asset, like effectively. Silver Lake are adding one asset. It's a big open pit and an underground to mill. Why do you have to double your board capacity?
The answer to your question is you don't need 8 directors, Matty.
That's just bloody unnecessary people talking the whole time. Like far out. You got so there's 3 mining engineers on there.
Yep.
You got a chemical engineer with GM experience in open pits. You got so Peter Johnson, he's ex-Silver Lake non-executive director from 2007 and 2015. Tonks commenced there in 2014, so there's a bit of a link there. Peter Johnson's obviously on the Red5 side. You got 2 chartered accountants. What you need 2 accountants for, I don't know. You got 1 geologist. I reckon you can.
You don't need 8 directors.
You don't need 8. At least they've only got 1. Thank God they don't have a bloody 1 MD and a separate CEO as well. And Luke's doing it both. But yes, I don't believe that's what we call in the industry the soft issues.
I hate this shit, Matty. I fucking hate this shit. Like, don't fucking merge your company and everyone keep you. You don't even need 5 directors, mate. You only need 4. Like, I cannot be convinced otherwise. It's just a waste of shareholder capital. It's overlapping of experience and expertise, and it's probably like a detraction from just achieving pragmatic things at the board level. That's my strong opinion on it.
Yes. Anyway, and we will continue to have that opinion. Right. Takeaways from the call, Trav. What else besides it was riveting?
A few other brief things just stood out to me. One was Red Management talking up Silver Lake's assets pretty substantially, saying that during the DD they were surprised by their outlook on seeing positive extensions on both Deflector and Mount Munga. I thought that was notable. They were also speaking positively on Sugar Zone, and they also talked about the pro forma Red5 being in a good position to do inorganic M&A regionally as well. So assume Genesis consolidation they thought was more favourable now on a pro forma basis. Okay,
so I think it feels like we haven't gotten anywhere there, but I think we've established that Luke Tonkin wants to take over, get into Leonora.
The love for Leonora.
It's simple as that. He wants in Leonora, and he's bloody just wants, just to bloody stake his claim before Ral does. I think that's the crux of it.
Oh, I don't know.
It's as simple as that.
I don't know. He might have a different opinion, but he'd have to bloody talk himself in order to present that opinion.
Anyway, we won't be. I don't think we'll be. Can't see him walking in the office. You never know. Come say good day, Tonks. We'd love cameras off, maybe. Right, Trav, there was a bit of media going around about a potential Lynas and MP Materials merger. They're, I guess, the MP Materials, the big dogs in rare earth dogs in US. What's the go?
Yeah, there's only 2, real players in the rare earth production scene ex-China, and that's Lynas and MP Materials. And mate, I was looking at the headlines over the weekend, and Lynas have confirmed their discussions. They've confirmed that they've had merger discussions with MP Materials, but they say they're no longer ongoing. And I was watching these stories drip through over the weekend on this potential merger out of the AFR. First Friday afternoon, then another story Saturday, and then another story Sunday. And remember, Matty, when a potential deal gets leaked, I always ask the question, who had an incentive for this piece of information to be leaked?
Hey, it's not like the reporters are going chasing it. Oh, have you got any deals that are happening? Oh, shit, there is one. No, they're getting the call first.
Yeah. So Lynas put up an announcement today confirming discussion, but saying they've ceased. Like everything else, Lynas is down 2.5% today. MP Materials closed up 6% on Friday in the US. Lynas is a $5.3 billion market cap company. That's in Aussie dollars, and in Aussie dollars equivalent, MP is about 1 billion less than that. So let's see where it goes. I just hope MP Materials have been listening to our podcast to know everything that's going on at Lynas, mate.
Other news, Centaurus, they got environmental permits approved for their Jaguar nickel project in Brazil. So remember that Jaguar deposit, close to 1 million tonne of contained nickel. It's a bit, I think it's about 930,000. Interesting that I listening to another potty with Rick Rule recently, and Centaurus is one of his key holdings that he's like. So it shows Big Rick likes buying stuff when it's real out of flavour and thinking of things on 2 to 5 year time frames.
He likes the hated commodities, doesn't he? Yeah.
There we go. Nickel ticks that box, Rick. So, mate, Trav, Silvercorp, what's the update there on the Orecorp deal?
I think there's a bit to go into there. I was too engulfed in the Leonora saga today to really go in the weeds there, but I think that they've put out a target statement, Orecorp has, so I want to go through that maybe this afternoon in preparation for tomorrow, because I always want to pry into how these independent experts are looking at things, Matty. But Silvercorp, they now own 18.3% of Orecorp, up from 15.7%.
Very good. New copper producer on the ASX.
There is, mate, and it's not Mac the SPAC. It's Capstone Copper, $3.5 billion in Canadian dollars copper producer. It commenced trading today under the ticker CSC, of course.
Is that a CDI, is it?
It is, mate. Yeah. It is, with pretty low liquidity at this stage. And there hasn't historically been too much market appetite for the Canadian copper CDIs over here. I remember when Copper Mountain had a ticker C6C, it barely did any volume, and that's despite them actually having a development asset, which was called EVA, out here in Queensland. They ultimately sold that asset, I think, to MMG, and they delisted from the ASX around that same time too. Now we've got Capstone, which has 4 operating mines in the US, Mexico and Chile. So will ASX investors have appetite? Heck, we're talking about it, so clearly the listing will get some eyeballs.
Oh, mate, as we said, the voices of reason, Rick Dinio. Right, love your work, mate.
All right,
bloody good times. Can't wait to hope there's another stage to this story.
Oh, it's going to get
Red5.
I hope so
Silver
too.
Lake.
More hostile.
But I don't think there's going to be. But you never know.
You do never know.
You do never know.
Mate, there might be someone else that comes to the scene.
Who could that be?
I have no idea, but we could start some rumours.
Jeez, that's...
St. Barbara.
St. Barbara. Fucking hell. God to help us. Righto, mate. Thanks to all the bloody partners. As always, VRIFY. Email grant@verify.com with no E, VRIFY. And also InvestorHub. You want to hear about bloody how to market your company better and keep Timmy McCormack off your back? Email rory@investorhub.com. Links are in the show notes, everyone. Mate, DSI Underground, SMEC Power and Technology, McMahon Mining Title Services, Anytime Exploration Services, KCA Site Services, Brooks Airways, K-Drill, pretty much all these companies. Any need you on your mine site, we deliver them to you with bloody Dundee, with bloody just they're on a platter. Just go bloody give them a buzz. Love your work. You'd be stupid not to. Hootaroo, money miners.
Hootaroo.
The information contained in this episode of Money of Mine is of general nature only and does not take into account the objectives, financial situation or needs of any particular person. Before making any investment decision, you should consult with your financial advisor and consider how appropriate the advice is to your objectives, financial situation and needs.